Okay.
Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio, where truth equals reality, and truth is often stranger than fiction.
Hello, pardon me, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio. This is your host, Royce the Redneck Radio Man, and joining me tonight is going to be Savanna Arienta, if I pronounce that correctly. She's got a new book out called Lightworker, and I hope y'all can forgive me having a little frog in my throat. I'm a little under the weather today. I had a real bad attack of allergies this morning for some reason. But at any rate, I'm going to muddle through the night with her, and we're going to talk about her mission as a light worker in her book. And I believe she's got a website, and I know she's got a radio show, and we're going to try to learn a little bit more about her and what she does and all of that. And I'm going to let her join me right now. Savanna, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Royce. Thanks for having me. Happy 11/11/11.
Oh, thank you, and happy Veterans Day to you too.
Same to you.
Kind of funny. I just did an interview 3 days ago or a week ago with a guy that had a conference coming up on. He called it Alchemy Event 11/11/11.
It's a very powerful day. Extremely powerful day for manifesting and really setting your intentions for what you want in the future. 11 is a very high energy number, high vibrational number. So it's a great day for your viewers and for you to really decide what you want and be positive and set your intentions for the future.
Right. And I think you're right. It is a great time, especially with Veterans Day being on top of it. Now, Arienta, Savannah, first I want to ask you, is did I get the pronunciation right on the name?
You did, Arienta.
Arienta, perfect. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Now, I want to real quick, before I forget, tell all of my listeners that whether you're listening at Skype or iTunes or on your smartphones or whatever the case may be, the call-in number is 832-632-7904. Feel free to call in and ask questions. And you can get to Savanna's website and learn more about her by going to www.sjlightworkers.com. And she's got all kinds of information there for you. And her link is also right underneath the picture here on the front page. And I'm going to put it in the chat room real quick as well for everybody's convenience. And while we're talking, if y'all get interested in checking out her book, I've got a link to where you can get it at Amazon right underneath the chat room, underneath the show description there. So, I tell you what, Savanna, I have not had a chance to actually see or read your book yet, so I think you're going to need to brief me on this here and kind of bring me up to speed on, what's in your book, kind of a, brief description of sorts without giving away the candy store, so to speak.
Sure, Royce. Lightworker is kind of a combination book of teaching and kind of instructing about what a lightworker is and how to deal with being a lightworker, how to live a life that's full and that's of service. And it also talks a lot about my experiences as a psychic and a lightworker and a medium. Has a lot of stories of my readings and my clients in the book, and it really explains what it's like to live a life as a light worker and what exactly we're here to do.
Okay, now that sounds very interesting. And one of the things, although I didn't get to read your book, that I saw in the press kit over at Warwick was that the book tells you a little something about the origins of your soul. Can you share anything with that about it? That's fascinating to me.
Sure. Well, Chapter 3 is really what I feel is the heart of the book. And that explains the different planes of existence. And I go through from the earth plane on up to source, which is where God would be. So I actually go through 7 major planes. And each plane has a lesson and different teachings for you to learn. And as you master each lesson, you rise up in the planes. So when you read about those 7 planes, you kind of identify where you came from. One plane may be where the creative people come from, those who are songwriters or artists. Another plane may be where the advocates of those who are oppressed come from. Another may be where the scientists come from, or those who are help oversee human evolution. So as you read through these 7 planes, everyone's going to probably relate to one, or at least one of these planes, and that will tell you where you came from and what your special gifts are, and how you came here to serve the earth and humanity.
Now, when I was at your website, it looked to me like you might have a little workshop going on there. Did I misread that or misidentify it, should I say?
Well, yeah, no, you didn't. I have several websites, and I think the one you actually looked at was the psychics line, where people can actually call the psychics for advice, or it's called the Lightworkers when they have a problem. But my main site is that's my personal site is www.lightworker.ws.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's where you can learn all about me. Lightworker.ws.
Well, now I wasn't aware of that site, but one of the things that I did read about you was that you were aware of your spiritual connection at a very early age. Well, roughly about how early an age, and I'm pretty sure this affected you. You probably stood out from the rest of the class in school, for example.
I did. Early age, I would say, as soon as I was aware that I existed, because my mother was a psychic, and my grandmother was what they call a mystic. She was from Sicily. So I grew up with this knowledge and the belief that there's a spirit world, there's an afterlife, and that, there are spirits around us that we could communicate with. I was as young as 7 or 8, and my mother was teaching me how to use a Ouija board. So this kind of stuff was not strange or abnormal to me at all, because I grew up with it. And you're right, the kids in the neighborhood did love my mom, and they loved to come over and have her do seances or tell stories. So, she was a different type of mom, but it was great having her. I learned a lot from both my grandmother and my mother, and I carried it into my adulthood, and I became a psychic as well. In the book, I explain that light workers do have extrasensory perceptions, and, being a medium and being able to talk to the dead is one of them. Being able to be clairvoyant or and very highly intuitive is another. So I grew up with the knowledge that all this was possible, and it wasn't strange at all in my house.
So one of the traits of a light worker, would you say, might be they're the kind of person that almost usually always knows what the end of the sentence is going to be while you're speaking it?
Well, yeah, I guess that's part of it. Not always, but they do have a lot of extrasensory perceptions because they're so illuminated. Their channel is clear, and they're able to connect with others very easily.
Ah. Well, I tell you, I know a lot of people are like that. I mean, it's just, they're the kind of people that when you go to a party, everybody's crowding around them.
I think so. Another thing about light workers is that they're highly empathic, and that draws other people to them as well. Just that ability to have empathy and relate with others really makes them highly attractive to other people. So if you're a light worker, you may find that people are drawn to you in situations, say parties, or maybe at work. You always notice that the new person comes to you for help. That's more than likely because you're highly empathic, and light workers do possess a high quality of empathy.
Okay, now I wanted to ask you also, is your book already out on the market? Because some of the people I get from Warwick, their books aren't quite due out on the market yet, but I'm interviewing them before they do.
Actually, it's out. It was supposed to be out November 15th, but for some reason it got put out a little bit early. So it is out, and it's available for sale on Amazon.
Okay. It had a very pretty book cover, by the way. I didn't get the book, but I did see the cover.
Yeah. They did a fantastic job. New Page Books is wonderful.
Yeah, they are. I love the folks over at New Page. I love the folks at Warwick. And some of the other places I made some contacts with along the way, shall I say. But I noticed that you've also got your own radio show. It must be pretty interesting from you to be on the interviewers and the interviewees side, don't you think?
It's true. I do interview a lot of people who are in the spirituality or paranormal fields, and I also produce shows. So I have hosts that put on their own shows, and I produce them for the shows for them. So I'm pretty busy at night producing shows for other people as well.
And I thought I was busy with just my show.
I'm sure you're very busy. It's a lot of work.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm looking at your picture, and you look like such a young person to have so much on your plate already.
Well, I'm not that young, but I have a lot more to do. I mean, I may have a lot on my plate. I have 3 daughters as well, and I have a husband who's a New York City detective. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but like I said, I feel there's a lot more to come.
Well, now that you told me that, I have just got to ask you, how's it set with your husband being married to a psychic since he's a detective?
Well, he's actually in narcotics, so I don't get a lot of opportunity to help him with cases. But there is a very interesting component to his work that I do write about in the last chapter of the book. And that's when he was on patrol and he was doing emergency calls where many people would die tragically. There were either accidents or suicides, and he'd be called to the scene. He'd get a lot of spirit attachments, and he would become drained and tired. And there was one experience in particular that I write about where he had a really bad week. There was about 3 or 4 deaths that he was there, when the person passed away, and they attached to him. And I helped release the spirits because they were earthbound.
So he's pretty thankful to be married to a psychic then, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's lucky because, they were really doing a number on him. They were really draining his energy. He was having a lot of dreams about them. That was, he couldn't sleep. So I really helped him to release these spirits and unattach these spirits. So I write about that in the book. It's very interesting. Many police officers or emergency workers are kind of plagued by this. They don't really know what's going on, but they do have a lot of spirit attachments.
Yeah, I've read a lot about that, attachments. I had a lady on my show a few years back, Sierra Sky, had a book out called Spirit Rescue.
Yeah, I know Sierra.
You know Sierra? She said that a spirit had attached to her and followed her back to her house. So I take it you're familiar with her book then.
Well, I know her. We've interviewed her at Soul's Journey Radio, and I know her story, and that was really an upsetting incident that occurred. But it does happen, and like I said, especially with emergency workers or service providers, doctors, who are the last person in the vicinity when someone crosses over suddenly. And I find that, and it's true, that earthbound spirits can be people who have died suddenly and were kind of ripped from their body unexpectedly. So when they do find themselves in the spirit world, they're confused and scared, and they may attach to the last person they saw who they thought could probably help them, like a police officer or a doctor. And so that's what happened with my husband that I write about. And it couldn't really, unfortunately, and a spirit attachment can happen to anyone. But we need to be aware of it to be able to protect ourselves from it. They really can't hurt us, but they can really drain our energy and kind of make you feel tired and run down and not know what's wrong with you. So you don't want that.
Well, no, I don't. But I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking how talking to you is like talking to Sierra. She seems like I remember her saying the exact same things.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true, and she knows what she's doing. So, I'm sure that she did tell you basically the same thing. When a person dies traumatically, when they cross over, they're usually confused and they don't understand what happened, and they will attach to someone. Or you could have a spirit who attaches for other reasons. There are many reasons why a spirit can attach or become earthbound. And I do talk about that in the book. And there are ways to help them cross over because these are spirits who are trapped and unhappy. And unknowingly stuck here, not knowing where to go next. But we can help them.
Okay. Now, I had on the tip of my tongue a minute ago. Okay, like I say, I haven't actually read your book, so I was kind of depending on you to kind of give us a little info or a little peek inside of the book. One of the things I would like to know, though, is what prompted you to write the book? I mean, I understand you do light work, but, was there, did you have like a specific goal in writing it?
Yes. Yeah. The big goal for me was to help light workers, because I find that many of the light workers that I come in contact with, that I work with, have led really traumatic lives. And even light workers throughout history, if you look back and you look at the greatest artists of our times, or advocates for those who are oppressed, they usually either lived a very tragic life or their ending was kind of tragic. So light workers, being so super sensitive, tend to have more of an unhappy life or a harder time than most people, not knowing how to handle their sensitivities and not knowing how to deal with their extrasensory perceptions, not recognizing what they are, that they're gifts and not hindrances. It really, really hurts a person's life and makes it very hard to be happy. Light workers are prone to addictions.
Sort of like Lightworker 101.
Yes, right. So in the book, I also talk about these different problems that plague light workers because of their sensitivities: addiction, depression, anxiety. And I teach them how to deal with these extrasensory perceptions and not become addicted or depressed. So I really wanted to help the people who were sent here to help us.
Well, I think that's just fantastic, because I happen to know the very little lady we were speaking about earlier has shared with me that she did have a real battle with depression, and that when she first found out that spirits were attaching to her and following her back to the house, and she went through a whole rough period in her life behind it until she met the right friends that could help her through it. So to have a book like yours out there has got to be handy to somebody.
It will be. People like Sierra or myself, very sensitive, very highly acute nature, are very prone to anxiety or different depression, addiction issues. So this book explains, all right, this is why you're feeling this way, and this is how you can combat this, and this is how you can turn this sensitivity into a healing gift instead of a hindrance in your life. So that's also a big part of the book.
And another part of the book would be to help you recognize exactly what your gifts are.
Yes.
Can you give us some kind of an example? How would a person know if they even had a gift of any kind, or does everybody have a gift?
Well, everyone has gifts, but they're of different intensities, and they're in different areas. So I do go over the five senses and help you to recognize which one of your five senses is more highly tuned. For example, if you are very sensitive to light, or you have issues with your eyes, you may be a light worker who is clairvoyant and very good with images and pictures. If you are a person who's sensitive to different materials on your skin or touch, you may be a light worker who's a healer and can excel in hands-on healing. So I do go through different areas, and you can check off boxes and see, all right, I'm more sensitive here or there, and that will tell you where your highest sensitivity lies and where you should kind of like channel your energy. And, if you're more sensitive to touch, maybe you should be a hands-on healer. If you're more sensitive to audio or noise, maybe you're a clairaudient and you're a person who hears messages from the spirit world. So I explain all that in the book.
That's very interesting. So there is sort of a checklist type of, I wouldn't say you'd want to etch it in stone, but yet could act as sort of a guidepost that people could take that would help, help them narrow down the field, in other words.
Right. I talk about psychic abilities, and I break it down into a few components, and that would be sensitivity. So in that chapter, we discuss and help you to find where your sensitivities lie. Intuition, And we talk about intuition. We all have intuition. Empathy, and that's being able to relate to other people, and, you know, how sensitive are you to other people's feelings and emotions. And belief is another one. We have to have belief. If the light worker doesn't have belief in the mystical or the unseen, they really are a lost light worker. So that is another component of your psychic abilities, is the power to believe.
You know, that's really very interesting, because there's a handful of people out there that would say, well, what's so hard about that? But the real actuality that handful of people don't realize is just how hard it really actually is for a huge chunk of the people. Say, for instance, many scientists, you can't taste, touch, feel, smell, or whatever. It don't exist, you know. And
exactly.
It's kind of, you know, sad.
It is, and you have to have the absolute belief or knowing of all things unseen to be able to be a psychic and to use your psychic abilities. If you don't have that open-mindedness and the belief, that kind of closes off so much. And the last component of psychic is awareness. And that's just being aware of signs and messages that come to you from the spirit world or from your spirit guides or your teachers up on the higher realms. So I do break it down into different components, and I help you to it takes the mystical aspect out of the psychic abilities and just breaks it down into components that, you know, we all have. We all have some level of awareness. We all have some level of intuition. We all have some level of sensitivity. Just how much of it do you have? What's your level? That's what makes some people more psychic than others.
Do you think it's a level of how much of these attributes a person has that makes a difference, or do you think perhaps maybe everybody has the measure or a similar measure of it? However, some people maybe cloud it over more than others do.
Right. I think that some do have a higher level of a different component. For example, you may have a higher level of intuition than I do. But I can always increase my intuition if I follow the steps in the chapter and I become, you know, more in tune with my sense of intuition. So there's ways to kind of sharpen it and kind of raise your psychic abilities if you know exactly what areas you should work with.
So there is a big role to be played then with, say, things like desire, belief, and other things of that nature, is to like how much of what gift you actually want to nurture that you'll have more of.
Right, and to discover which one you're naturally more prone to have a heightened sense of. So the book helps you to discover that.
Now, this isn't probably part of your book, but I am just curious. Do you do past lives? I do. And in fact, I offer my clients like 15-page reports, past life channeled reports. And I do work with past lives. Absolutely. Okay, well, in addition to your workshops and your radio show and your book, what other sort of things do you do? Oh, boy. Well, yeah, I do. Is that going to take us a while? Yeah, I do. It does seem like a lot, doesn't it? But I do write. You know, I'm continuing to write and work on a second book. I do readings for people. I probably do about 6 or 7 readings a day. Like I said, I produce the radio shows and manage the Soul's Journey company. Soul's Journey Media is what they call a new thought company. And we do help people on their spiritual path. We give support. We run teleclasses. And there's a whole group of us that work together to be able to help enlighten just the public in general. I tell you what, though, it sounds like you got a lot on your plate. You're an outgoing person. You're a creative person yourself. And you got a lot on the ball. And I'm willing to bet you never have a dull moment. No, I really don't, especially with 3 daughters. Yeah, I know the feeling. I got 3 boys. Yeah. So now, I don't have a dull moment. You're right. All 3 of my boys at home, but only one of them is under 18. Oh, wow. So yeah, I have only, I have one that's 8 years old, and then the other 2, one's about to turn 18, and then the other's 21. So
me too. I'm getting there. We're only one under 18 soon.
Oh my goodness, we got a lot in common.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both outgoing extroverts. We both host radio shows. We're both into spirituality. We both have 3 kids. I mean,
that's great. I love to meet people that are like me and have the same kind of intentions. And I know that you're really out here to you're doing your light work, and it's on a different level than there's all different forms of light work. And what you're doing is you're really enlightening people to, like I said, the belief that there is a lot more going on than we can see. And that's a big part of light work.
I think a lot of mine had to do with my past. You see, I'm an ex-Pentecostal Sunday school teacher whose dad was a preacher that has found the church falling short of the mark, that ended up studying Hermeticism and alchemy, and it's now more on a metaphysical type path than a religious type path. And then that comes with sharing what I've learned as I went.
That's right. Well, we all have our own evolution, and we all have our own path. And however we get there, that's our choice. So that's great.
We can take the straight road, or we can take many different turns as long as we got the gas to pay for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I always feel like we're all exactly where we're supposed to be at the given time. So you're right on the mark.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't know how you keep up with a media company, writing books, and a radio show, all of that, because I can't do all of that with just my show and my cooking and my 3 kids. But hey, you got something going on the ball with that. You really do.
Well, I try.
But with this here book that you got out, I think it sounds to me like it's a very handy item to have. Like it's a good item. It can help point people in the right direction and, give them a few tips to help them along the way to boot. So
you're right. It is. So, I mean, I'm really happy to be able to have put the information out, and I hope it helps a lot of people.
Well, are you going to be planning to put out any more books?
I do. I'm working on a book, and I really hope that it can come out sometime next year, or hopefully the sooner the better. So, yeah, I'm always writing, and I'm always coming up with ideas. So I'm excited to do another one. I really am.
So what's the next one going to be about?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I think it's going to probably be about my mediumship and my experiences working with those who have crossed over.
Oh, wow. So you kind of do the John Edwards thing, so to speak?
I do. Yes, I do. Aside from just general readings, I do mediumship readings.
Are there any kind of readings you don't do?
Well, no, I
got to think about that one.
I never will predict. I don't predict death. If somebody asks me if someone's going to cross over or someone is going to pass away, I really won't give that kind of information. I might get an idea. I do ask that. That's kind of blocked because I feel like there's really no reason to know that. But that's one thing I don't predict, or I don't do a reading on.
Wouldn't that kind of a morbid thing for somebody to want to know?
Yeah, but I do get those questions sometimes. And a lot of times I don't feel like they're for the right reasons. I don't feel like they're asking that question for the right reason. So, I mean, I don't predict or I don't talk about that kind of stuff in my readings. I'm not out to scare anybody or, I always try to give whatever information I'm getting, let it come through in a way that's enlightening and supportive for my client, not scary or, in a way where it's going to terrify them.
Well, does anything in your book cover anything about chakra work?
Not in the book. I don't talk about chakras really in the book. But I do work with chakras and healing in my practice.
Well, I know according to the study I've done, part of the process of enlightenment is the actual clearing of the chakra and opening of the chakras, starting from the base all the way up to the crown.
Absolutely. If we have trapped energy or chakras that are not cleaned out, it does block up our channels, and it makes things very difficult. It can also make you physically sick, too, eventually. So, yeah, you want to keep those cleared out and keep your energy flowing at all times.
Which would probably go back to living a healthy emotional and spiritual life.
Absolutely. It's a big part of it. And just keeping your intentions high and also not harboring any ill will toward anyone or bitterness, because all that stuff really does close up your chakras and block up your energy. So you want to always release all that stuff and trust that the universe has a plan that's always correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I want to remind all the listeners that your website's www.sjlightworkers.com, and you said there was the also www.savannah.arienta.ws, didn't you?
Well, the other one is lightworker.ws.
Oh, lightworker.ws. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know where I got.
Okay.
Slap me in the face.
That's okay. Same title as the book. It's www.lightworker.ws, the website extension.
Thank you. I'm glad you caught that for me. I really am.
Okay. Thank you.
I wanted to remind you of that, and also remind everybody listening at other locations that you can call in at 832-632-7904. And if I don't answer right away, try to hang in there, and I'll try to get to you as soon as I can. And if by any chance the answering machine picks up, you might want to hang up on that and call right back, because it only has so many rings before it does, and I'm not always able to get there before the answering machine picks up. I also wanted to mention that her book's on sale at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other major retail sellers, and there's a link on it on my front page for tonight. I'm going to have to take that off and move it to the archive tomorrow, but it will still be in the archive. But I'm going to have a show coming up tomorrow that I'm going to need the front page spot for. I can't keep shows up on the front page because I got so many shows rotating. I apologize for that, but I do have a huge archive, and I'm going to send you the link to it after the show if you like it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Great. That would be wonderful.
But now, at any rate, like I said, I wanted to remind them of that. And also, I would like to mention to everybody that's listening, if you get a chance to stop by UPI International, there are a bunch of great folks over there. They got a social network that has researchers and investigators and other light workers and people of all sorts from all around the world. And what they've done is they created a safe haven where you can go where there's not a lot of drama like there is in some of the groups and other places around the web and other forums around the web. That was their goal to make a safe haven away from all of that. So I try to put a word in for them while I'm out here. And it looks like Genocide put your URL in, and I had a brain fart for a minute. I apologize.
That's great. Okay, yeah, that's my personal site, lightworker.ws.
Yeah, he's been over there poking around, he says. Good. Or looking around, so evidently you got his interest over there.
All right, that's great.
But I wanted to ask you also, do you have any upcoming events?
Well, I've been making the radio rounds, and that's basically it for now. Probably after the holidays, I'll start to plan some events, but as of right now, not anything where I'm going to be going anywhere. I'll just be on the radio for the next 2 months, I would say.
Well, tell me real quick, when does your show air? Do you have like a regular weekly show, or are you like me, you got every 2 days a week, or what do you have?
Well, mostly I'm producing shows, but I do have a show on Blog Talk Radio that I play on Soul's Journey Radio as well, and you can go over there and catch a lot of archives. And you can also catch archives over at soulsjourneyradio.com. And usually I'll just plan a show about once a week, and I don't really have a set day and time. It depends on guests or who I'm interviewing or what's coming up. So I wish I could say I had a set day and time, but being that, like you said, there's so much going on and producing shows, I'm not able to really do that.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Actually, we got something else in common. It just so happens I got my start at Blog Talk Radio 5 years ago.
Yes.
When that site wasn't but 5 years old. I was one of the grandfather hosts when I left. I'd made it up to number 2 in the paranormal category. And actually I'd had like 29,000 listeners. And then when they started charging back in February, I decided to move over here and start my own show and do my own stream. Yep. And then I went through a period of perfecting the stream where it sounded good. And now I'm working on rebuilding my listenership, and getting the old listeners from, there over to here. But, I expected to get back to where it was at, but, these things take a little time. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that we was also both at Blog Talk Radio. How long have you been there?
I started in 2007, Blog Talk Radio. So I was been there quite a while as well. And it was, I think it was fairly new when I came on.
Well, when I went there, it was like only 5 months old. They didn't have all the advertisements yet. They still had the old orange and white pages.
Yeah, I don't know when they originated, but I came on in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is quite a while over there. You probably do have a really, good size, archive there. I'm just kind of surprised that you was over there all that time and never ran into my show.
Me too. You could go over and you can see I do have a lot of archives over there, and I could always see on the iTunes stream or the Blog Talk, all the archives and all the listeners and comments from way back. So I do pop on there periodically, and but I always take my show and bring it over to Soul's Journey Radio as well.
Yeah, that's what I always did. And when I moved over here, I discontinued my archives in the content section using the Blog Talk player, and moved it to started using my video player section with the Windows Media Player, and do it in video format. I take your picture and mine and your book cover and have them rotate through the player while the show's playing, in other words.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's all the different things you can do. And, I wish I had more time to do more of my own show. And also, like you're saying, the video, because I also use live stream and, have Soul's Journey TV, but I just don't have too much time. I'm always trying to make extra time to get on the radio and interact with the listeners, do readings for people, or get on the live stream on the video. But unfortunately, I don't have too much time to do it. But I really enjoy it.
Well, I can definitely understand why. And I was also curious to ask you, how you formatted your show. I mean, like me, for example, I will call folks on like you and we'll discuss your book or your research or your DVD or what's new or whatever the case may be. But other people have different formats. Like some people are just a couple of buddies sitting out on the back porch drinking a beer type conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm just curious, what you invite guests like I do and, just try to share information or what?
I do. I do that a lot, have guests on. I have some favorite guests that I really enjoy working with, and then I do sometimes come on by myself and take callers and do live readings. So, the audience really likes the live readings, and so I do a little both. Sometimes I'll do both in 1 hour, half hour of a guest, and the second half hour take their calls, or maybe my guest does readings. So we do a lot of that.
So just out of curiosity, when you do on the show to do live readings, do you charge, or is that something you just throw out there?
Yeah, I just leave. I have the phone lines open, and I take the callers, and there's no charge. I do the readings for them on the air. And, of course, it's not as in-depth as it would be, but it's kind of like just a general reading that's pretty quick. And they seem to get what they need out of it, and then I take the next caller. But there's no charge.
Well, that's very, really interesting. Some of the busier shows that I've had with callers were psychics that were doing readings. And, out of all the shows I've had, some of them, you never get any calls at all. Other ones, you get like 20 or 30 calls, and it just depends largely on the guest, what the topic is, if they're offering readings or, well, you know what I'm saying.
Right. I usually get a lot of callers when I'm doing readings on Blog Talk Radio or Soul's Journey Radio. People seem to really like those mini readings.
Well, I got to tell you, I like the title you chose, Soul Journey. Mm-hmm. And if you ever get a chance to get him, I could probably help you get his contact info. A man out there named Bill Missett. It has a website called Awakening the Soul at awakeningthesoul.info, I think. I'd have to look it up. He's got a 3-book set on Awakening the Soul that goes into detail about the gifts of the Holy Spirit that was bequeathed to the soul in the beginning, and then how we lost it during the Dark Ages, and then the 3rd book on how you get it back. And I thought just maybe that might make an interesting guest for you.
Oh, definitely. I would love that. If you could send me the contact info, I'll definitely contact him.
Oh, Bill would just fall in love with me for sending him that, or sending you that.
I would love it. Thanks.
But yeah, he was a great guest when he was on my show. He's been on my show a couple of times, and since you do light work, I thought your work and his work would dovetail, so I just thought I'd recommend it to you.
Great. Thanks so much. Yes, definitely send me the contact info. I would love to have him.
Well, listen, I really haven't been sure exactly what track to take with the questioning here since I'm, Lightwork's not my, biggest, thing that I've really been into. I've been more into the ancient astronaut, ancient religion, mythology, and UFOs, and that sort of things where most of my knowledge lies. I mean, I'm familiar with light work and know something about it and energy work and chakra. I mean, you can't get into spiritualism and metaphysics without knowing something about it.
Right. You did a great job, though. You asked a lot of really good questions.
But what I wanted to say was, since I'm not really totally familiar with this, I probably missed something. So I was going to say, since we got 15 minutes left, if there's something I didn't cover, maybe you'd like to bring it up now.
I think you basically covered a lot of it, though, Royce. I mean, you really got to get the book, and you really have to read for me to, there's so much to explain. So we could go another 3 hours trying to cover everything.
Oh, I know how that goes. I've seen some shows that seem like they didn't have an end on, depending on what the topic is. I mean, believe it or not, ancient astronauts, if you get two people on the air that are well versed in that, it could take days.
Right, exactly.
But then again, you're covering thousands of years of history, so that would explain why.
Right. You can just go on forever. But I really appreciate you having me tonight.
Oh, I really appreciate you coming. You're a very nice lady, and I really like you. You're a pleasure to talk to. I just wasn't really exactly sure which direction I should go with this. It's a little bit new to me, and I'm always glad to get something new because it's a chance for me to learn. But sometimes you get something new, you could use a little prodding.
Right. I think you really covered a lot of it, and like I said, listeners are, if they're curious, they really have to read the book because there is so much to go over.
Well, roughly, how big is the book?
It's about 250 pages, and that's including about 10 pages at the end of Lightworker affirmations to help you each day kind of raise your light energy and help you to stay more positive, because that's a big part of Lightworkers' life is to keep generating more light energy. So there's about 200 affirmations in here at the end of the book to help you to keep your light quotient raised.
Well, that's kind of interesting because Sierra Sky, once again, well, she had a show on Blog Talk Radio, Her and the Lion.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And I can't tell you how many times I was at her show that she talked about light injury and the white light of Michael and, other things of that nature. So I'm just saying, once again, it's like talking to her.
Yeah, Sierra's great. And I remember her, with her, I don't know exactly what they were called, but she had these kind of energy balls where she would push light energy into these kind of, I don't know if they were like crystal balls or Christmas balls, and she would give them to her clients. So, yeah, you can light energy is really kind of tangible, and you can definitely use it to help others. And the way to increase your light energy is to stay positive, always stay in the energy and the feeling of gratitude and unconditional love. And that's a lot what these affirmations talk about at the end of the book.
Well, I heard preachers put that was attitude of gratitude.
Right.
But, yeah, now, do you actually do any type of ghost hunting work by any chance or ghost investigations?
Sometimes I do, yeah. That's not the main part of my practice, but I have done it, and I do it for people if they call me and they're having, they feel like there's an attachment in the house or there's a presence in the house. I definitely have done that kind of work, and it's in the book as well.
Yeah, I was asking that because it seemed to me like if you did any kind of mediumship at all, then you'd probably also need to have a little bit involved into the ghost investigation to augment it, I guess you could say.
Oh, definitely. We've definitely done that, my mother and I've done it. And yeah, but like I said, I don't have a lot of time for that at this point, but I have done it. Not to the extent that Sierra does it, but I've done it in the past.
Okay. Now, also, I think I can't remember if I asked this earlier or not, so I'm going to ask it again just in case. Do you have any upcoming events in the near future?
You know, I'm going to be doing a lot of radio, up until
that's right. You were
January,
saying something about the radio.
Yeah, but I don't have any events that I'll be at probably until springtime, and I'll put the schedule on my website. But as of right now, I don't have anything to announce.
Okay. And do you have any shows coming up in the near future that you might want people to listen to?
Well, you know, I wish they would tune in, you know, come over and visit us at Soul's Journey Radio. And just like your shows, there's interesting guests and different people that they can learn about. And, you know, just see what's going on over there. There's some really great hosts besides myself. There's some fascinating either psychics or astrologers or angel therapy practitioners. So I just, you know, if they get a chance, just come on over and listen to some archives or listen to the live radio and join us in the chat room, because we do have a chat room doing live shows, just like you do.
Cool. Well, let me ask you this then. How does somebody go about being a host over there on your show if they wanted to? Well,
all they would do is have to email me, and I would send them a package through email, and we'd discuss their topic and their show, you know, their show theme, and we'd work it out.
So you are looking for hosts to say if they got maybe different material than what you've already got or something of that nature?
Definitely. We're always looking for hosts. And we're actually in the process of a site redesign, so we're kind of getting a facelift in the next few weeks, which is really great. We're really excited about that. But we're always looking for new hosts.
Oh, that's cool. I happen to know several people that host radio shows, and if they ever ask me, I can send them your way.
Oh, that would be great. We love new people. We love new topics. And especially with the site redesign, it would be great to have some new hosts.
Now, no offense, man, I personally wouldn't go that route simply because I've got my own server here and I do my own, you know, things straight from my house, so that would be kind of redundant from my position.
Exactly. That's okay. Yeah, I understand. And if you know anybody who's a good fit, send them over.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely do that. I happen to think that the lion that used to be with Sierra, if I hear from him again, would probably be a great person to have. Have you ever met him?
I haven't met him. I think I've talked to him on the radio or on email, but I haven't met him personally.
Well, me and him used to co-host, and he's pretty good.
Right. Yeah, I know he is. He's pretty technical savvy, too.
Yes, he is. But also, I wanted to remind my listeners to stop by tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm going to have Roar Shepherd, and we're going to be talking about The Universe Speaks on the love and pain of 2012 to 2025. And this is kind of unique just in the simple fact that he's the first one that I expect, that in the actual title of his book has said he's not expecting the world to end at 2012 like most of them are. Just the very fact he said 2012 to 2025 indicates for him it's not a full end.
I don't think so either, so that's good. I'm glad there's other people thinking that as well.
Yeah, I've had quite a few people, and I guess you know probably as well as I do, you being a radio show host as well, that, I mean, you got half the people out there swearing that it's going to be Armageddon at 2012, and the other half swearing we're in an ascension process.
I know. You know, Royce, I've been getting emails lately about earthquakes, and you better leave the area quick, all this, the planet's ending. And, you know, this is just creating a lot of fear and a lot of really dark energy, because the more fear we have, the more dark energy we create, and it really will affect us in the ways that we're afraid of. You know, it's going to affect the weather and natural disasters and the whole balance of the earth. So we really got to stop this stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A matter of fact, you know, now that you mention that, you stop and think about it. When people read or watch or listen to this kind of material and they buy into it and their fear kicks into base, kicks in, they're actually activating the law of attraction.
Exactly.
And not to their favor.
Exactly. And then when we all do it as a collective, we're all worried about the same thing, we're really creating a big problem, because the more of us that are afraid or live in dark energy, the more the collective becomes dark. So we don't want that, because it just totally tips the balance of the energy of the earth. And that's what creates all this havoc and this crazy weather and earthquakes. So, we have to really get out of this fear mode. It's really not good.
I'd rather people not think about it at all than think something negative about it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd like them to think something positive, but if you can't have that, I'd take the lesser of three evils.
Right.
Or should I say two evils? But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I mean by that. And, let's face it. Let's just say these fear-mongers were right. Your worrying about it is not going to do anything to prevent it, only to help it.
Exactly. It's not going to help at all. So no point in worrying about it and creating more fear, especially, and then spreading the panic with these emails. I mean, when I get them, I get very upset.
Yeah, I know. I've been inside some Yahoo groups, and you'd be surprised the amount of, fear-mongering that goes on over at Yahoo groups, the paranormal groups.
Right.
It's just, and I don't like fear-mongering. I really don't. That's one of the things about, not all churches, but some of them, they do, promulgate, fear-mongering. But to them, they think they're helping. They think they're aiding in salvation, and they don't realize what they're doing. Exactly. They can't see the forest for the trees, in other words.
Right. So I got a little one here who's got the same cough as you do, so you might be hearing her.
Oh, okay.
Allergies. I don't know if you hear in the background.
Well, no, I don't think I heard that,
okay,
but
good.
I thought I heard myself a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, we all seem to have it, really. I have it as well. It's allergies or some kind of cough that's going around.
I must have said something that didn't make sense or made me look silly, because Genocide just said in the chat room that I'm going to have to put on the dunce hat, or he's going to have to put the dunce hat on me. Okay, I don't know what I said. Maybe I'm better off not knowing.
I don't know. I don't know either.
But yeah, he's good people. His name is James. I've known him for a few years, and he just likes to kid around a lot.
That's okay. That's great.
Well, we got like 5 minutes remaining. I wanted to ask you real quick, like if you had any last minute thoughts.
Well, I would love for everybody to go and get the book and really email me feedback. I would love to hear it, and I really hope that it really opens your eyes to some of the things you've been going through in your life and helps you to understand what exactly is going on with your extrasensory perceptions and how you can help others here on the earth, and it'll help everyone. So I really appreciate you having me on, and I hope I can come back, or you can come visit us over at Soul's Journey.
Actually, I would love to visit you over there, and I was really going to ask you in just a minute anyway if you would like to come back over on my show as well. I've got your email. We can stay in touch on that one there. Matter of fact, I really think we should. I thought we worked pretty well tonight together. So,
I would love it. I would love to come back. I thought so too, so.
I've got that little bit of congestion tonight. I probably shouldn't be pushing my luck, and you got a little kid that could probably use your attention, and I got to get my kids off to school in the morning. So
okay.
Why don't we go ahead and call this one a wrap for tonight? And
right.
When I get the video put together, I'll send it to you, but I'm going to tell you right now, it'll probably be one day next week.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Royce, and thanks to everybody who's listening.
And thank you for coming. And folks, I want to thank y'all for coming. I couldn't have a show without my listeners. And you guys remember, walking in the Spirit is just inviting God's blessing. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 with Roy Shepherd. Thank you very much.